Chris Jenkins, credentialed member of the media, covering the Carolina Panthers for Charlotte Vibe, a.k.a. Man of the People, here live at Empower. It's kind of hard for me to say it because Empower at Mile High Stadium this afternoon, or early evening it is here in Denver, 6:20. As the Carolina Panthers have lost yet another game. They fall to 1-7, losing 28-14 to the Denver Broncos. So I know how you feel. It doesn't feel good, but I'm going to do what I'm supposed to do, which is get you all up to date on all the latest information and analysis regarding this game today. We got a normal lineup that we're going to have lots of great photographs. I tell you, each and every Sunday, may be a good story, it may be a bad story, but we're going to have some excellent, the best pictures in the whole wide world that covers the Carolina Panthers and their game today. We're going to go over some stats. We're going to talk about the injuries, and then we'll break the game down a little bit more, as well as have some Q&A and talk about Coach and the locker room. Hopefully our guest, Vashti from Carolina Blitz, will join us today as well. But, again, I'm going to get you all up to date. Let me know how you're feeling in the comments. Please let me know how you feel, and do me one small favor. Hit that like button. Subscribe to the channel. You guys can't see it, but I am always the only person on the field. This is the only show that you will find that's credentialed member that goes live before and after the game. I mention that because I really hope you all help spread the word about Charlotte Vibe and what we do here by hitting the like button. That's the least that you can do. Hit the like button and comment. So let's go ahead and get it to it. Well, first let me go ahead and check out a few of the comments here, and then we'll go ahead and get into it. By the way, tonight's broadcast is in 4K, so I hope that you are enjoying that uniqueness as well. All right, Panther Blazer sign on saying let's go. Shaked is on here. Shaked, I like you, so we're gonna talk as well. One of our members. Just a trick shot signing on. Panther Blazer. Bryce Young is him. Okay, we can have some jokes. Just to let you guys know, my hands are freezing, so my photographer is probably going to make fun of me. But I don't know if you can see. Look how white my fingernails are. So I'm going to probably for the rest of the season use this new headset so that I can keep my hands in my pocket, and I'm going to invest in one of those quarterback pouches things to have a little heated pouch to put my hands in so I can stay warm. But outside of that, it feels great. It was a great, beautiful day out here in Denver. They had some military jets fly over at the beginning of the game. All that doesn't matter for what the score was, but just for those that don't travel, want to set the scene for you on how things looked here in Denver. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get into some great photographs that we have from the day, courtesy of our great photographer, Patrick Snyder. We're going to get started here with the one-handed catch on Trevin Wallace. That was by the tight end from Denver. And you got to admit, that is just a darn good catch right there. That is an awesome catch and a great shot, even better shot by our photographer capturing that image right there. And here you have what looks to be some blown coverage. And another touchdown by the Denver Broncos. And, again, I'm going to say this, and I know you guys probably going to roll your eyes, but this is the truth. This game was better in many aspects than the previous game and then has been many Bryce Young's games. It certainly wasn't enough, but it was a better game. Let's continue to work through these pictures here. This here was a pregame shot led by your quarterback, Bryce Young. They're taking a kneel. Many of the guys praying before the game. Really great scene there to capture what the scene was like pregame today. And there you have it. Who couldn't wait to see it? Raise your hand if you could not wait to see this right here. Xavier Legette. Now, the game didn't go as we planned, but Xavier Legette there with an awesome touchdown early on, first quarter, first drive. Everything had some potential there. Unfortunately, it didn't continue to play out enough throughout the rest of the game. But here in Broncos country, Xavier Legette getting to ride Dollar Bill. Good for him. Rookies continue to develop. And then here is the catch itself. of Leggett catching that touchdown pass from Bryce Young. Bryce Young had 2 touchdowns today. Really good stuff. 2 touchdowns by Bryce. Now, again, he didn't do as good as we would like, but I feel like there was some improvement, and we're going to talk about that a little bit further down in the show. Continue to hit that like button. Get in the habit of doing that for me. Hit the like button. Hit the like button, especially if you like these photographs that we're showing here. And then we got Bo Nix getting wrapped up. You know, we had a sack. We had lots of things going right. Sack early on in the game. You guys can probably hear that because I didn't move the microphone far enough from my mouth, but I had to get a drink of water. And let's continue to move through these images here. This looks like Chuba trying to make it, trying to get through there. You got some guys that are on him. And this right here, it was a joke in the press box during this time of Bryce. I'm sorry, if Matt Rule was still here, that you wouldn't have been able to have this type of thing going on here with the reach for the touchdown. But we do have the touchdown here as he jumps over for the score. And here we go right here. Unfortunately, an interception thrown by Bryce Young intended for Coker. Coker's starting to have a breakout kind of season, man. I think a lot of people are starting to get on that Bryce Young bandwagon right there. I'm sorry, the Jalen Coker bandwagon. And here we go. We have Bryce Young in the dirt. Wasn't down in the dirt as much as we thought he would be today with the orange crust, but it was a few times that he was able to get caught up there by the Broncos. And here you have this one right here, my man Johnny Hecker, who he had some good stats coming into the game, you know, for throwing abilities, and we look forward to it. I think so far this year he might be 0 for 2 and converting, but I'm not mad at Dave Canales here going for that aggressive play there with the fake punt. I know I was surprised by it, and that one could have worked. He would just didn't quite get it to Sam Franklin out there as he needed to. Bryce Young under duress, but not able to avoid the sack here on this play here, which was a good thing because we were down in the red zone. And then here we have me, but here we have Coach Dave Canales post game talking, sharing the news about the future of this Carolina Panthers team. And let's see. There we have it. Thank you so much to our great photographer, Patrick Snyder. And my favorite person has showed up today, so I got to do a little technical switch here from the headset to the regular mic as we're going to go and talk to Vashti of Carolina Blitz. Right now, you will not hear, so give me a second. Check. Yeah, our level of – how about that? Am I good at what I do? I do a lot. We all do a lot independent of me, don't we?
Of course.
What was that hesitation for?
I mean, that's unspoken. We already know that.
Well, you do a lot, too. Are you flying out tonight?
Of course I do a lot. Yes, I am. I'm hopeful. Yes, I'm leaving tonight.
Hey,
I'd love to leave earlier.
Yeah?
But we'll see.
Can we quickly talk about your travel schedule for today?
Today?
Yeah.
It was just see, listen, it's not bad. I flew in this morning, got in around.
With Tepper, you flew on that private jet with Tepper?
No private jet. We fly commercial.
Okay.
We're not there yet. But yeah, I flew in this morning, came straight to the stadium. Gonna finish up some work and then head back to the airport, red eye, back to Charlotte.
I think I'm on it with you.
Yeah.
Yeah. Let's get into this so I can let you go. I appreciate you taking the time to join me today. I don't have a chance to go to the post-game press conference, and you do. So if you can, give us a little summary of Dave Canales and what he had to say in that post-game press.
Nothing new. Basically, he was proud of the way the guys finished. And they showed fight, and there were execution issues, third down issues, things that have to go back and work on and fix.
So I'm sensing some this, I'm at a loss for words, but it seems like Dave is saying something. You're like, you want to hear something new.
Well, I can't tell him what to say.
Well, you can't tell him what to say,
But
but you want different results, so he has something new to say.
what I mean, when you get beaten like that, I don't want to hear that you're proud of the way the guy's finished. But if
Okay.
that's how he feels, that's how he feels. But you know, who cares that they put up a touchdown in garbage time?
There we go.
For the majority of the game, it was terrible football on both sides of the ball. And, you can't feed us Dookie and tell us it's sugar. It's just what it is. So, yeah, it's nice that they put up a touchdown in garbage time. Sean Payton was trying to run up the score on them. And this team, I posted a video of the guys walking to the locker room. And I've been covering this team for some years.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if I've seen a more dejected looking group. The losses are weighing on these guys. The effort that they put in during the week and not seeing the result on Sundays, it's weighing on these guys. And I think that at this point, you know, you're in jeopardy of potentially losing your locker room. Because if you put in work and you put in work and you don't see results, even after the Panthers lost to the Bengals, that locker room was not dejected because they competed. And we hear the word compete, we want to compete, but we're not seeing it on the field. So even if these guys were losing by a touchdown, but we're in it, I think that they would be more pleased than what they are right now. Right now, they're just getting trounced on. They're getting stomped, curb stomped, mollywopped, and nobody wants to do that. No competitor wants to do that. Nobody who puts in work, the way that they put in work, wants to have no results.
Now, I said in my pregame show that this team just has so many broken pieces, and it's hard to, in my opinion, get things going quickly in the right direction, even though we all want it. Do you feel like there's anything that we can do, given the whole totality of this mess that we have? Do you feel like there's anything that we can really do this season to get much different results?
Well, that's the coach's job.
Yeah, absolutely.
So whether the pieces are there or not, and yes, the Panthers lost a lot of pieces, it's the job of the coach to get the best out of their players. Whether it's scheme, whether it's game planning, whether it's development, that's their job as coaches, and that's what they get paid for. And so, you can't continue to say, oh, well, they don't have enough pieces, we're going to put it off to next year. We're going to put it off to next year. There needs to be improvement, and it needs to be shown on the field on Sundays. Like, whether you guys are playing your third string guys or whether you have, Deontay Johnson, it doesn't matter. Like, this is the National Football League. This is not Pee Wee on Sundays. So these guys have to show up and they have to play.
Okay. I know Shaquette, one of our great listeners, will hear you like keeping your foot down on this team and Dave Canales for his performance. But before I let you get out of here, that locker room, you mentioned the guys with their heads down and seeming dejected. How was that locker room like for you?
Oh, it was empty. By the time Canales spoke, it was empty. I did speak. Sam Franklin was pretty honest about, I don't know if you guys saw, but J.C. Horner, that's who I really wanted to talk to, he was visibly frustrated at the end of the game. Sean Payton was doing Sean Payton-esque things and running, double moves, fake field goals in a game that was already completely over with.
Yeah.
But that's what Sean Payton does. Dave Canales didn't seem to mind, but the players took – no, he was asked a question. The players took offense to it.
Right.
And so there was frustration with that. And there may be the argument, well, if you're mad at that, then you need to stop it. But also –
Cam Newton famously said that when he was playing, right?
Well, yeah. But also, like, if the reverse would have happened, Sean Payton's also the guy to kind of probably have a problem with it. So, Canales defends his guys, which I respect. In that moment, I would have liked for him to call out Sean Payton. I don't know. I'm conflicted with that because I understand the philosophy of, if you don't like it, do something about it.
Yeah.
But I also am not a fan of kicking a man while they're down. So it's twofold for me, but obviously the players didn't like it. So
All right, all right. Let's see. I'll read one comment. It looked like she said the key word, development. Coaching needs to develop the players.
It, that's your job. You game plan, you strategize, you scheme, you develop. And we see guys like Coker who, we're seeing him flash, but he was already good when he came in here. We aren't seeing the development of Bryce Young. And that's the main guy that these guys were brought here to develop.
Yeah.
And that's where the gap is. That's where the gap is. And so, it's tough. I respect Panthers fans so much because it's really not easy being a fan of this team. And so, to the ride or die, salute to y'all. You got your time. 2015 is gonna come back again. You just gotta hold on tight. It's gonna make it that much more sweeter. They got to get the right combination of coaching and players and everything. But keep pounding.
Hey, final question on Canales. Where are you at with him? Are you high on him, medium, low?
I'm not anywhere. I have not. What's the Panthers record?
1-6. So that
1-6.
I'm sorry, 1-7.
Okay, add
but that could
more
mean that
L
you're
to
low
that.
on it. That you're not. That you would rate him like I'm low on you.
I'm not low enough on him to be calling for his job.
Absolutely.
But I'm not high enough on him to say that he's a guy for the Panthers long term.
Okay.
That makes sense.
It does.
There you go.
Vashti, I heard from Carolina Blitz. Link will be in the description to check her out. Please do another independent person that's doing great things out there. Thank you so much for your time.
Thanks for having me.
Absolutely, absolutely. All right, we're going to continue on with the show. Very happy that she could take a moment to join us today with her busy schedule. Give me a second, guys. I'm going to switch back to my headset as that makes it a little bit easier for me to go through things. So give me just a second to switch, and we'll continue on with the show. All right, check, check. All right, looks like we got a smooth switch right there. So give me just a second to get a swig of water. Hey, I see a lot of comments here liking some things that she was saying, and hey, that's what I like to do. I like to bring in different perspectives for you all to soak in and hear from, as I know that's important. Let me get this camera setting here pretty good like we had it before. Shaquette, I wish I had a chance to ask her about Evero because I know you like to hear different opinions. And I know you have long wanted him to be fired. I don't predict that that's going to happen during the season, but I understand where you're coming from on that 100%. Hey, and I know it's a tough game, tough loss. We continue to lose. But if you don't mind, help me out. Continue to hit that like button. It does do a good thing. Like help me get guests like you just saw Vashti from Carolina Blitz onto the show. Early pregame show we had Chris Lee from WRAL out of Raleigh, and we continue to have a lot of special guests. And that is something that I want you all to get a round of applause for, and your support helps me to do that. Let's see. I did not hear that sound effect. Hold on. I might be missing something here. I am. Hold on. I forgot to plug in one thing. All right. We got everything all plugged in now. Let me continue with where I was in the show. Just got through the pictures, so give me just a second to find my spot of where I was. All right, let's go ahead and look at the stats from today's game. Stats tell the story, and there is one to be told from today's matchups. So let's go ahead and look at the passing. Our quarterback, Bryce Young, 24 of 37. 37 attempts today, just over 200 yards, a 6.1 yard average, 2 TDs, and 2 interceptions. Rating of 76.9, and there we go. Johnny Hecker snuck in there as well with his pass attempt on that fake punt. Ended up with a 39.6. So let me talk about this for a second. Again, you may have a different opinion, but this is me. This is how I feel about it. There was improvement today by this Carolina Panthers team, but it wasn't enough. All right, so let me emphasize that. But it wasn't enough to get us the victory that I know everybody wants, everybody deserves. But we saw, in my opinion, a different Bryce today than we have seen, and I feel like that Bryce Young is looking favorable to have another start. That is how I feel. And the reason that I say that, many different things happened today by Coach Canales, which I haven't seen before. All right. Excuse me, and I'm sorry I didn't have the mute button. This new mic probably picked that up pretty good. My apologies. I believe there's a pretty good chance that Canales will start Bryce Young again. Now, in his post-game presser, he did mention that he was, non-committal on who was going to start as his quarterback next week. Now, that could be partially due to Andy Dalton's thumb, but I think that he has some more confidence in Bryce and that he's 1-7 and that he might say, well, I think it's a combination of, Dan, how many calls are you getting for a trade on Bryce? How are they looking? And also, we're 1-7. Let's go ahead and evaluate this guy out to see if he's going to be back on this roster next year at all. And Dave did some things today with some aggressive play calling that puts more pressure on this offense that you would only do if you had some confidence in your quarterback. We didn't see him start to do these aggressive things with fake field goals, fake punts, going for it on fourth down until Andy came in to the mix at quarterback. And now we saw it today with Bryce Young. So to me, that's an indication for me that we're seeing more from Bryce and that there's some confidence and their willingness to see Bryce some more. Combine that with the fact that Bryce actually threw the ball down the field today some. And even connected on a few, didn't connect on some. But, hey, when you look at progression, and I know it's hard to have that patience with the fact that this team has been bad for so long, but there absolutely was some progression today with Bryce and throwing the ball downfield. All right? So let's continue to work through these stats, and I see some questions coming. Keep the questions coming, you all. I will get to them certainly here very shortly. Keep the questions coming. All right. Let's go ahead and take a look at the rushing. And this is something that you kind of feared would happen, right? This is something that was legitimately feared and thought about when you knew they were playing the Denver Broncos. This team has been really good against the rush. In the pregame show, I mentioned the fact that last week when they played the Saints, they shut down Alvin Kamara really good. He had about a 1.5-yard average per carry on 10 carries. Chuba did much better. Chuba got 15 carries, 56 yards with a 3.7-yard average, and even had a 15-yard long run there. Bryce Young with some carries, Miles Sanders with only one. Now, I know this isn't a talk about trades, but I absolutely feel like Miles Sanders should be a guy that if a trade offer comes in, that they entertain it. How likely is that? I don't know, but if it comes, please take it. Xavier Legette with 1 carry, 0 yards. Overall, we had just 70 yards rushing with a 3.5-yard average. All right, let's go ahead and look at the receiving. And this is a head scratcher here. This is something for me that I want to dive into more as I look at the film about what happened and why it happened. Maybe it's like check down Bryce, the reason that this happens. But we have your receivers is led by Miles Sanders. And, I mean, maybe this is the result of not having Deontay Johnson out there, that you figure out a way to mix it up and to get somebody available. But Miles Sanders was your leading receiver, 7 receptions on 7 targets, so he was perfect. 5.5-yard average, 38 yards. We had David Moore. I did not sort this correctly, so here we go. I say he was your leading receiver. He was your leading receiver with receptions. He was not your leading receiver by yards. This here is sorted by receptions. We'll go ahead and jump down to Jalen Coker. Jalen Coker, 4 receptions, 78 yards, 19.5-yard average. That is some good football right there. That is some really good football by an undrafted free agent out of a small school who was taking advantage of his opportunity and looks to have surpassed Jonathan Mingo, who you see here had 3 targets, 0 receptions. So unfortunately, Jonathan Mingo is not looking like the guy that we may have hoped that he would be. Jatavian Sanders kind of had a setback there today with 1 catch, but he caught everything that was thrown to him for 7 yards. Again, overall, 24 pass attempts, 224 yards, and that was our offense. And let's continue to work through this. And we're almost there to some more stuff I want to talk to you guys about. So one of the guys that had a chance to play today due to the injuries that continue to happen on this team is another undrafted free agent, Demani Richardson. It's crazy. These rookies that are coming onto this team, leading us in tackles. We've had rookies lead with Trevin Wallace getting his first start, getting tackles when he started against Chicago. And then subsequently in that next game did extremely well. And now today, last week, Shaw Smith-Wade, rookie leading. Today, another guy playing for the first time, a lot of time, Demani Richardson. 11 tackles, 7 solo, 4 assists. Not a bad. He had some things that he did wrong, of course, but Mike Jackson with 10, Josie Jewell with 10. Jadeveon Clowney having, in my opinion, a respectable game, returning from his injury that he had, missing 2 weeks. And unfortunately, see there at the bottom, Xavier Legette had a tackle. And we got 2 sacks. So they're your stats from today. And we'll go into this a little bit further. So this game for me, normally things are referred to as tale of 2 halves. Well, today was a tale of a first quarter and 3 quarters. It was something. So, and I'm kind of a little bit all over the place here today, but let me now pull it back because I've got to give you some of the injuries. So, injuries sustained today. We had defensive end Ashawn Robinson, who had left the game momentarily for a concussion evaluation. He was able to thankfully return to that game today and finish playing and had a sack today. So applause for him. I was going to hit the applause button, but I don't see it here. Here we go, some applause here. I am not hearing the sound. Hold on a second, guys. All right. I didn't mean to hit that button there, but I was trying to hit my sound. Ashawn Robinson got evaluated for a concussion, quickly returned, played the rest of the game, had a sack, had a solid game. Tight end Felipe Franks suffered an injury. His injury was a concussion, so unfortunately looks like we will likely be without Felipe for an extra game here. I say an extra game, an additional game. That next game being at home against the Saints is who our next opponent will be. Outside linebacker DJ Johnson left the game with an ankle injury. He did not return to the game. And I know Icky went in and out. At one point he had left the game with an ankle injury, and he was questionable to return. He did return. I'm not exactly 100% sure if he finished out the game, but I know he did go in and out of the game at one point there. So those are your injury updates for what took place today throughout the game. Let's go ahead and take a look at the standings. I forgot to get this printed out for you. I won't waste your time, as I sometimes will take a moment to get the latest, to get the graphics up. So I'm just going to go ahead and read to you all the current standings for the NFC South. At the top, the Atlanta Falcons at 5-3. They won today. They're victorious and beating the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. So Atlanta's at the top at 5-3. Tampa is now your number 2 at 4-4. The New Orleans Saints took an L today. Man, they started off hot, didn't they? And we were one of the victims of being hot. And that's a matchup next week that should be an interesting game. Both teams should have a pretty good balanced chance at winning that game. Obviously, I'm hoping that the Panthers do win that game. We'll see. But Saints fall today to 2-6. Now having lost 6 in a row. Carolina Panthers fall to 1-7. It's a good thing with this mic, bad thing when I have burps and things. I apologize. Carolina Panthers fall to 1-7. Still let up a lot of points, but instead of 40 plus, we allowed 28. And instead of 3 points by Bryce, he had 2 touchdown passes there. I don't know the last time Bryce Young had 2 touchdown passes. But those are your standings for today as of right now in real time for you. All right, so Vashti earlier touched on that press conference that Dave Canales has given us her opinion, her side of things. And one thing that Canales also spoke about, which I was anxious to hear, late in the fourth quarter, Panthers drive in this direction. Had a good drive. For once, it was not a 3-and-out. It wasn't a 4-and-out. It was a good drive. They're going the length of the field. And they nearly had back-to-back delay of games. They had penalties. And they darn sure looked like they had a good third one that maybe they just had some sympathy for, so didn't call. And Coach Canales just said that him and Bryce need to work on some of their communication, and that was a reason for the delay. So maybe, I don't know if he didn't hear him or he said a term, or if the crowd noise was loud, which it does get pretty loud here in Denver, if that was something that affected it. But that's what Canales said about that, and I was curious to hear about that, so I wanted to make sure that I included that in the report. And then as Vashti spoke about, good old Sean Payton, all right? Sean Payton has the most winningest coach against this Carolina Panthers team. Of course, he played against the Panthers for many years as he was head coach down there in New Orleans. Certainly is familiar with this team. Certainly may have some feelings about about this team. And he showed no reluctance in continuing to leave no doubt about scoring, and the object of the game is to score points. So some of the players, as she mentioned, Vashti mentioned, Sam Franklin had issue with it, and it was noticeable, right? How could you not notice that the game it wasn't out of control from a score standpoint, but you certainly knew that the Denver Broncos had control of this game. We didn't score any points since that first drive in the first quarter. We were blank since then, and the Broncos were just rolling. They were going to go for a 55-yard field goal. All right, no, they get pushed back to a 60-yard field goal. And the Carolina Panthers at that point subbed in Raheem Blackshear. I forget exactly who they pulled out, but they pulled out some guy from the left side. Raheem Blackshear went back there as an attempt to catch the kick if it happens to be short, and they decided to fake the field goal and went to the side that they had pulled that player from, almost got it, right? So you kind of think, oh, man, that was a little aggressive. But, it's football. They're grown men. They're paid to play. But then the one that really made it, in my opinion, quite evident, and I know if you're a Sean Payton detractor that you were feeling some kind of way about this. It's late in the game. And, yeah, this I don't know what to say, but this play here shocked me. I was in the press box, you're not allowed to cheer and make noise. And when this play started, I was like, oh, my goodness. I kind of yelled. Shouldn't have done that. But they did a double pass. It was under 5 minutes to go in the game. I think it was about 4:30-something left on the clock. Throws it to the receiver. The receiver throws it down the field. And it's like, are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? So, thankfully, as they were driving towards the end of the game, I believe it was Trevin Wallace that was able to force a fumble. Carolina recovered it and was able to stop the score from being 35-14, which would absolutely look much worse and continue to have us on that trajectory of being the team that allows the most points scored in NFL history. So we were able to avoid that. All right. How you guys holding up? We holding up pretty good? All right. Hit the like button while you're out here. Again, I got to take a drink of water. High elevation, cold, dries you out, dehydrates you, as Josie Jewell said. Willie Smith just said Sean Payton is trash. And then somebody comes back and says Panthers are trash. All right, you guys have been having a good time in the the chat looks like with these comments. As long as you keep them clean, we can have some fun, have some back and forth banter. Hit the like button for me though, if you could do me that favor. Let me see. I have a few other notes here, some things that I may have already talked about. One thing that I think showed from this game today, and I think I can show with the stats here. All right, not sure how to show it on the stats from that screen, but I do have it on my side. Bryce Young was sacked 2 times today. And that, to me, is a little bit of a little applause, a little golf clap for our offensive line who had Taylor Moton back returning. Icky to continue to play well. Damian Hunt, all those guys playing well and keeping Bryce upright. It was a game in which you were concerned. I know a lot of people said, man, we're putting him out there against this top 5 defense. It's going to be really rough. They're going to light him up. They're going to blitz him highly. And they did blitz him some, especially after that first drive. You can see their thing was they put Carolina in the 3rd and long. Yeah, they'd pin their ears back and they'd come at Bryce pretty hard, not giving him much chance to do much other than get rid of the ball extremely quickly or force him into a bad pass. So, I mean, that's how you play the game, right? You try to put the team at a disadvantage where you know what they're going to do and attack it. And the Broncos did a really good job of doing that. But I think the offensive line did a pretty good job today in keeping him clean. Now, obviously, they weren't able to get the run game going enough, get Chuba open. But keeping Bryce clean is something that was good for this offensive line, only allowing 2 sacks on Bryce Young. Let's see what else. Where else was I going here? Losing my notes just a little bit. We got plenty to talk about. I just want to make sure I talk about things in the proper order and don't repeat myself with my notes here today. I also like some of the stuff that we were doing on the offense with our play calling. And when I say our play calling, I'm more so talking about the different formations that we were throwing out there. I like the fact that Canales is still continuing to show us different things. Now, I'm going to continue to say they're not working, but I really want to point out there are different things pointing along. I know Vashti mentioned she wasn't too high on Canales because of the record. I get it. I'm good with Canales. I'm good with the fact that he's making aggressive calls. He's not just sticking his head between his legs and throwing the towel in on this team. He's trying to do things. Granted, they're not working, but would you rather have a coach that's trying to do things, being aggressive, and they're not working? Or would you rather have a coach that's just like, I'm just going to be conservative because we're losing. My guys aren't playing well and just continue to give up. So I like those things. We had 2 running backs out there several times, Miles and Chuba. At one point, we even had Miles. I'm sorry, I forget the running back. I think it was Chuba and Xavier Legette in the backfield. Just some different things that we did on offense. So I appreciate the continued attempt there to do some different things. And I had one more thing I want to talk about, and then we're going to get into your guys' question. Gosh darn it, what was my one other thing? Oh, I know what it is. It was still, when I point out the progress, I still want to continue to emphasize how it's not enough and how that progress still has us with a very long way to go, right? We still have a very long way to go. And this is the one thing that I want to point out. And it's like, oh, wow. First possession, Carolina Panthers go 59 yards. We score with a touchdown. 59 yards on that first play. The next 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Let me count that one more time. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 possessions. After a 59-yard opening drive, the next 6 possessions had a long of 18 yards gained on the drive. highlighted by several times of only having single digits, having 4 yards, 6 yards, and one time having negative 1 yards. That's absolutely that is let me find my sound effect for what that is. That is an absolute disappointment. Putrid, as my previous co-host Andre Cassidy would say. That is just awful. Awful, awful, awful. Like, how do we get out of that part? Like, that part right there where you have 6 straight possessions after a good possession where you can – your best time was getting 18 yards, and many of the plays were 3 plays, 4 plays, 5 plays, 3 plays, 3 plays, 4 plays. Not until late in the game where I'm sure on the other side they started, easing up a little bit, just trying to play some ball control and get out of here. Did we start getting possessions where we're able to get more yardage, 40 yards, 40 yards. In the last play of the game, not the last play, but the last drive of the game, the gimme, garbage time, we went 83 yards, scored a touchdown from Bryce Young. So that's your wrap-up here live from Denver, Colorado. Again, lots of people watching. I appreciate you all watching. Very encouraging that we got a lot of people tuning in tonight. And just do me this favor, just one favor. Again, independent media, 100% supported by you all. So it's really important that you hit that like button to help other Carolina Panther fans find out about the channel. I'll continue to do this. I'm going to step to the side so you see I am literally the only person on the field at this stadium right now reporting live, giving you a breakdown of this team. And I'm a credentialed member of the media that's doing it. Everybody else, for whatever reason, they may not be able to, may not want to. I'm not saying why they don't, but this is what we do and we bring to you. And so I just need some support so we can continue to grow and be able to do this. So next week when we play the Saints, we'll be there. We'll do our live pregame and our postgame. When they go to Germany, we will be there. If they don't win a game for the rest of the season, I'm not hoping that happens, but I'm just letting you guys know, for those that may be watching the channel for the first time, why it's important that I get your support so that I can continue to have the resources to continue to broadcast these games. Broadcast these shows for you that are fans, live, pre, and post game, no matter where they are. I think it's a pretty cool thing that I'm trying to bring out there to the fan base for these Carolina Panthers. So that's my little spiel. Now I'm going to take one more drink of water, and I'm going to try to get through as many questions as I can, making sure that I touch on our members first and then I'll get to all the other questions that I can. Appreciate some of those likes that are coming through. And check it out. We need them.
Super chat.
We just got a super chat from my man Federico El Padrino. I took French, so hopefully I did that pretty good. Federico El Padrino with a super chat. Bring us back some Sadava. I have no idea what that is. Bring you back some Sadava. Federico, my man, I hope I'm saying your name correctly. I appreciate that super chat extremely much and supporting us. So let me go ahead and start to work through these comments here. Zach Rhodes has said, start Coker and Leggett the rest of the year. Yeah. I mean, why not? Let me go back up here to the top. Scroll through some of these comments here. Shakid, hi, Chris. The Panther social media account department owns Panther fans an apology. During Dave Canal's press conference, they intentionally kept the reporters' volume very low. We could not hear any of the media questions. I understand this team is very bad, but as a professional organization, they should have tougher skin. Okay. So I do know this. On the road, just like I have different setup on the road, for home games, we're able to have 4 people that are operating on game days. For the road games, we only have 2. Different stadiums give them different setups. So at the home games, they had their setup. They had their guys. They had their mic guys. To be a person there sitting with a boom mic, and they could turn it on and off. Road games, you never know what their resources will have, and you never know the kind of room that they go to give the opposing team. So that's something to keep in mind, are the rooms that they're given to the visiting teams to do their interviews. Sometimes, I remember, man, in Tennessee, it's like you're literally feeling like you're in a basement, dark pipes. I mean, so I think that's part of what happens there sometimes for the games. But I'm not dismissing your comment at all there, Shaked, but I want to point that happens sometimes. All right, just the trick shot said Bryce looked all right at best out there. Yeah, now I'm not saying that he looked great. Not saying that, we just got our indication that there is a resurgence. But I think if you really, really detail look at it, that there was improvement in Bryce Young's performance today. And I feel like the trust that Dave Canales had by being aggressive on some of his play calls that would put more pressure on your offense and your quarterback, which is Bryce Young, indicates that they are feeling better about Bryce. Not that they have arrived, but they are feeling better about Bryce. And I feel like at 1-7, you guys tell me, do you want to see Bryce Young? I know now ultimately I know we want to win, right? And we want to see a lot of different things. But just compartmentalizing it for what it is right now. We can't change the world tomorrow. We can't fire David Tepper. We can't have all these new resources in here tomorrow. Do you want to see Bryce Young next week versus the Saints? Or do you not? Do you want to see Andy Dalton next week versus the Saints? What do you all think on that part? Let me know in the comments. I will get to them. Panther Blazer, speaking nothing but the truth. That's what I go to do each and every Sunday, each and every day. The only day I really take off is Tuesday. Outside of that, we're reporting every day. Panther Blazer also giving some credit for the pictures. Yes, we have the best photographer, undoubtedly, that covers the Carolina Panthers, and I would say arguably one of the best photographers in the league. Unfortunately, we don't always have the best story to tell, but if you want to see the story of the game, the pictures that we share are going to be it. No one gets a better. We put them on Twitter, and then also throughout the week, we post a lot more, probably about 40 photographs from the game a week on Instagram for those who may be interested. We got one of our members here checking us out, Ali Badrick. Welcome back, Chris. At least they showed improvement in stopping the run. There was improvement, guys. There was absolutely improvement. It was absolutely not enough. I'm keep saying that to put some perspective on everything. Willie Smith, let's be real. We have the pieces, but we don't have all the pieces yet. Panthers need to draft defense and build depth on both sides of the ball. I could appreciate that. Yeah, I know everybody's going to have a different temperament, and I get it. Some people just say, I don't care. You're paid just like they're paid. I need you to win now. I get it. My feelings on it is that it's going to take some time. That's going to be like it just takes some time. And I feel like I'm much more happier with the team this season than I was last year watching Frank Wright in his post-game press conference. And his just head down looking like it ain't where it need to be. It's still an F. Okay, it's still, let me be clear, it is still an F. Appreciate your comments there, Willie. My good guy, Thomas Washington. Thomas, I'm waiting on those stock tips. I got kids. I got to support. Thomas, appreciate you tuning in, man, and checking us out. Consider becoming a member and continue to support Charlotte Vibe. We appreciate it. All right, here we go here. Should Canales give up play calling? I'm thinking about that, Willie. Should he give up? I know somebody before said they feel like he's doing too much. Part of it is he's a first-year coach, and there's going to be some learning curve with that. I'm not ready to say he needs to give up play calling. I know that was a little bit of a pause there. I had to think about it. I'm not ready to say that he needs to give up play calling. He did it in Tampa, did a really good job of it. Being a quarterback whisperer kind of guy he is, I'm okay with our head coach being a quarterback whisperer, allegedly, and then also calling the plays to help that quarterback out the best that he can. So, yeah, I'm not ready to say that he should give up play calling. Appreciate the comment there, Willie. Panthers at times played hard, but at other times and too many times they played really bad. Their arrows should still be fired. So, yeah, this game today, it was just like the Broncos played a good game and just keeping their drives alive. It's at one point watching the game, I was like, this is an improvement, and they're not giving up the big plays. And then they start giving up the big plays. Oh, this is improvement. They're not running too well. Then they start to run pretty good. So it was just a good game by the Broncos to pick on certain aspects. You could say good coaching by Sean Payton, good play calling by Sean Payton, and what he did today in attacking the Carolina Panthers defense. And, they won. And the question is, if they are putting good effort during the week at practice, why are they not putting good effort on Sundays? It's a good question, man. Good question. Now, that could be something that, coaches got to coach, right? You can get these guys to play Monday through Friday, Monday through Saturday, but Sunday, maybe they get out here, they go up and down the field a couple times, and they're going to say, oh, man, this is the same old. And you as a coach, you got to be as much of a psychologist, motivational speaker as you are a strategist and building your team, right? So coaches, absolutely, if you're getting a good performance out of these guys Monday through Friday, Monday through Saturday, and you're not getting that through Sunday, that's a coaching thing. It's absolutely a coaching thing. We are the team that other teams put out schoolyards BS on. I'm not exactly sure. I know you're saying something negative, appropriately negative about this team, but I'm not quite sure what you're saying. Let me also say this. It's no fun and it's not good that the Carolina Panthers are being that step for opposing rookie quarterbacks. Caleb out in Chicago had a really good game. I think Caleb Williams had a career day against the Carolina Panthers. Jaden, he didn't have a career day, but he certainly looked like he would have had an excellent day if he had not have gotten hurt in that matchup. And then today, Bo Nix, he had a career day of passing. Had almost 300 yards passing today, which is a career day for the guy. So I know I didn't exactly get your comment there, but I know where you're going and saying we're the get right team for people. And yeah, as a fan base, you get tired of being the get right person for sure. I'm going to try to get through just a couple more comments before we get off here. I want to make sure that foremost I get all my members that are in here supporting the channel through their membership. Appreciate you very much. T Green says Coker's the only guy with consistency. Now, Chuba Hubbard has also been that guy. He had some tough sledding today against a really good defense. Kind of had 2 tough weeks in a row, but Chuba Hubbard has also been that guy. Again, just scrolling through, checking on all of the members. There we go. We've got another member that joined us here. I guess we're going to keep pounding for what been hearing. Bryce looks better with the rookie wide receiver than with the vet wide receivers. I wouldn't put it on the wide receiver parts in terms of today. I feel like if Deontay had been out there or Adam Thielen had been out there, that those guys would have been involved too. They just happened to be out today. I think that Bryce, the time away did help him. The time away, watching Andy be successful, that did help him improve some. So the rookie wide receivers just happened to be on the receiving end of it because they were the only people that were available to play today. But I appreciate you, Shannon Tyler, for your comments there. Oh, man. Look at this. T. Green. I almost missed you there.
Super chat.
We got a super chat from T. Green. Thank you very much for the support. Thank you for everything you do for us Panther fans. Keep pounding. I will absolutely continue to keep pounding as long as you guys continue to support help the channel grow. I'm going to continue to do what I need to do in order to make it worth your while in visiting this channel and staying tuned. So for those of you that are new, Chris Jenkins, a.k.a. Man of the People, I love working for these fans of the Carolina Panthers, even though it's not the easiest times to do so, and getting you all as much information about this team as possible. All right, so let me go ahead and just get through a few more before we get out of here. I am flying back tonight on a red-eye flight and want to make sure I capture that because though these Super Chats are handy, they would not cover the cost of a mixed flight. All right, so here's some comments on Bryce, looks like. Ryan says, I didn't know Canales was calling plays, thought it was Brad Isaac. Nope, Brad is not calling the plays. And there's a no for Bryce. There's a no for Canales calling the plays. I want to see Bryce play against New Orleans and New York. So those are the next two games. You want to see that. One thing to think about is that if Bryce does start against New Orleans, that really does mean that Bryce is going to be your quarterback for the rest of the year. Right? Would it not? Bryce would be your quarterback for the rest of the year because if you put him back in there and then you take him back out, I think when you talk about losing the locker room and seeing guys kind of quit on you, I mean, I don't know if it's the elevation or what, but my mouth and my lips keep getting dry up here a mile above. So give me a second while I continue to hydrate. Bryce, you bring him back against New Orleans, and if I'm a wide receiver, I think the other guys may be a little less sensitive to it. But definitely if I'm on the offensive side and you bring Bryce back, I've gone from Bryce to Andy to Bryce. I don't want to go back to Andy just for the sake of like it just adds to the frustration, right? Like if you're frustrated that you're losing, then you got these other things that are going like coach, can we have a quarterback that you feel confident in, that you can stick to so we can have some consistency? Because now, I might start to think, okay, well, we came out flat. Now I want the other guy. Like you can't keep flip-flopping like that, especially when you're not having success, any wild success from either one of them. Now, Andy did come out being successful. I liked Andy. But to me, if you go to Bryce, and I feel like there's a pretty good chance that we're going to go to Bryce at this point because he did show improve. He didn't get us the W, but he was a better Bryce than before. 2 touchdowns, 2 interceptions. That's way better than Bryce had been before. Before he wasn't throwing any. None. I think somebody said last Christmas was when he had thrown a previous touchdown. Today he threw 2. And he ran the ball a little bit, threw the ball downfield. I always post the pass chart for Bryce Young, so that'll come out tomorrow. I'm pretty sure it's going to look different. Yeah, I think if Bryce comes back, you don't just see him for New Orleans and New York. You see him for the rest of the season. And in my opinion, if you're going to do that and you got some guys that you're thinking about moving, you got just a little bit over a week before that trade deadline hits, Dan Morgan, my man, go ahead and get on the phone. And in my opinion, any of these guys that you have been talking with, I forget his name, the cap master contract negotiator that we got from the Kansas City Chiefs, whatever that guy's name is in his exact role, you go ahead and say, hey, contract-wise, we need to free up some cap space. We need to get some more assets. Who are these guys that are likely to be those guys that we don't know if we're going to want to keep them or not, or we think that we can free up some cap space? Get them out of here. Get all those guys out of here for the rest of the season. Let Bryce be your starting quarterback, and at least you don't have guys that are like Adam Thielen or Deontay just picking guys that are veterans and are, some good, solid players in the NFL right now. Have them sitting there like thinking, man, I don't want to, like, I'm not here to rebuild. Let me play the track. I have this from Deontay, and you guys need to hear this.
Pass, can't do much about it. Just move forward and get ready for Denver. Figure out the game plan and just attack each and every day at practice.
Is there anything that you go to address with the coaches or quarterbacks to say, hey, I'm seeing anything like this? We have those conversations?
We had those conversations, but it's more so, just taking it one day at a time and just focusing on the details. It's obviously a rebuilding year. We're not really playing good football right now. We got a lot of people hurting and stuff like that. We're just still trying to find that, that niche or whatever. So, like I said, that's going to take care of itself, just taking it one day at a time.
So there you have Deontay talking about a few things. One is, ask him about, have you talked to the coaches to try to get things better? It almost seemed like he was about to say, like, it ain't helping. Like, he was about to say something else, and he came back. And I don't know, so I don't want to put words into his mouth, but it just seemed like he was about to, maybe spill the beans a little bit there. And he said, yeah, you talk to the coaches and you try to see things. But he said it's obviously a rebuilding year. Like, we're not playing good football. Guys that are not young in the league, first, second, third-year players, they're not going to want to be around for this. So that's why I go to say if you're going to put Bryce back out there, keep him out there for the rest of the year and get rid of all the guys that you can get rid of that you were on the borderline not going to keep for either a cap reason or just you felt like, they're marginal and we may want to move on from them anyway, and start that process and go ahead and make sure that you're also going to get your high draft pick that would be useful and continue to build this franchise. That's going to wrap us up for today. Again, please continue to hit that like button. That helps the channel continue to grow, helps more Panther fans find out about the channel. I hope if you guys appreciate the fact that I'm the only one, again, on this field, I'll go ahead and give you a quick little pan. As I say, I'm the only one on the field. I see somebody taking a selfie out here. But let me show you what this stadium looks like before I leave. So this needs to give me a like right here. So this is the stadium right now. I won't go all the way to this side. But you see there's just one person out there taking the picture. But in terms of people working, broadcasting, there's no one else out here but moi. And that's the field the other way. So I don't just say man of the people because it sounds cool. I want you guys to think that I'm working hard. This is what it's like. But I love it. I love it, and I'll keep doing it. Thank you all so much for tuning in. Hit that like button. Chris Jenkins reporting for Charlotte Vibe live from Denver, Colorado.